batters the Northeast. Right now on the National Weather Desk, winter returns. A nor'easter batters the Northeast with wet snow, winds, and coastal flooding.
Not really snowblower snow, I'd say.
While in other parts of the country, this is the warmest winter on record.
This winter is sitting 9.4 degrees above average.
The lack of snow and ice takes a toll on the sports and tourism industries.
Nowhere in the United States is winter getting any colder. It is warming universally across the board.
Renewed calls in one western state to get rid of daylight saving time forever.
The permanent daylight time was tried before and it failed.
And we'll look at the history of weather on Valentine's Day.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Amira David. It's a day to clean up across the Northeast after one of the biggest storms seen in years, dumping more than a foot of snow in many places. The powerful nor'easter also brought powerful winds, which contributed to coastal flooding in New Jersey and New York. The snow that fell was heavy and wet, making travel on the roads very difficult. Air travel was also challenging. More than 1,200 flights across the country were canceled. Most of those were in and out of New York's 3 airports and in Boston. New York's Central Park only received a little over 3 inches, but it was also the most seen in 2 years. At least 3 areas received 15 inches in Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. We have 2 reports this morning, starting with Tempe Adelaide in Rhode Island.
Scott Thompson in Greenville is shoveling his driveway to make sure he and his wife can get to work safely.
We just want to get this all cleared up, otherwise this will all ice over and it'll be impossible to get through. So we'll clear that out and we'll spread some salt and some sand and hope for the best.
Weather spotters tell us West Warwick got 8.5 inches of snow. Foster received 9 inches and Scituate received the most snow in Rhode Island at 10.5 inches. Were you surprised by that at all?
Not typically. We usually get hammered a little more up.
NBC 10 camera spotted residents in Greenville, West Warwick, and Scituate out this evening shoveling their driveways. A back-breaking chore, but it's got to be done. With their flashing lights, snowplows of all sizes hit the roads and even the sites of local businesses to clear them of snow. Some even laying down sand and salt.
If you have some ice melt, that's good to put down after you shovel your driveway. That'll stop the freeze over and it'll stop you from getting ice on your driveway. Make sure you're safe. Make sure you know the limits of your vehicle, and just drive at least 5 miles under the speed limit.
We all look forward to a little bit of snow, but we should all be in the Caribbean.
Warm wishes from Holly Stevens. She's lived in Sandwich for more than a dozen years and knows the back-breaking work of clearing out the snow.
I'm 71 years old, so I'm about at my end of my shoveling days. It's like shoveling water. It's very heavy, but it's all good.
Sandwich and much of the Cape took the brunt of this storm. It was picturesque at times, but reminders of its impact were never far away. High wind gusts brought the potential for storm surge during high tide. Waves crashed into beaches, putting shorelines to the test. Winds pushed seafoam over the dunes and along nearby creeks. Water crept up to the edge of the banks. Flooding appeared minimal here, but those gusts and the weight of the snow caused power lines to snap.
We heard a branch break, and then it looked like a lightning bolt as the transformer blew on top of the power lines right behind our house.
Dan and his young family in Dennis have been making the most of their day without power. Thankful the branch hit a line and not their home.
We had to get the little one outside to have some fun, enjoy one of her first big snowstorms.
Back in Sandwich, the generator is on at Alex Baratini's house, and while it was running, so was he, clearing his driveway before this stuff has a chance to freeze.
It's pretty heavy snow, kind of slushy on the bottom, but not too bad. Definitely not really snowblower snow, I'd say.
Over the last several days, parts of Maine's coastline have seen abnormally high tides. That included some coastal flooding yesterday. Meteorologist Ryan Munn reports on what's leading to the higher water levels.
During the new moon and full moon cycles, when the Earth, Sun, and Moon line up, you have a stronger gravitational pull. It can cause some minor coastal flooding. The flood stage in Portland is 12 feet. We maxed out at 12.18 this afternoon. The road was flooded and nearly impassable along the Portland Pier. Most of Commercial Street escaped the flooding, which allowed businesses and roads to operate normally.
Well, back a month ago, most of this was all underwater. Now it's just a little bit of, I'd say, normal flooding now at the low spots.
So what are you out here doing today? Just getting some pics?
Yeah, I came down just to see, that's what we do as photojournalists. You go and take a look.
Next up is something known as a neap tide, which is when the Earth's gravitational pull works against the tide and causes abnormally low high tides.
While the Northeast gets a break today, snow is in the forecast in other parts of the country. Winter weather advisories are posted from Washington State across the northern Rockies and Plains, all the way to Lake Michigan. Half a foot could be seen in Montana, with several inches in Wisconsin. That's a big deal because so far this has been the warmest winter on record in Green Bay. Meteorologist Phil DeCastro has the numbers.
Let's just run down some of the basic numbers to start. Our average temperature so far this winter, which we're defining as meteorological winter, so since December 1st, is 30.5 degrees through February 12th. Again, that's average temperature, not average highs. Average. Keep in mind that our average high right now is still in the 20s. And our long-term average temperature through this point in winter is just 21.1 degrees. It's easily the warmest winter on record through the first 74 days of meteorological winter. But we really need to put that temperature in perspective compared to other years. This is a look at the other top 10 warmest winters through February 12th in Green Bay. The reading of 30.5 degrees stands apart from the pack by margin of nearly 3 full degrees. That might not sound like a lot, but look at how tightly packed the rest of the top 10 is. 2.9 degrees between this year and second place is bigger than the gap between second place and 10th place. Another way to look at this, the second warmest year on record through this date had an average temperature of 27.6 degrees. That's 6.5 degrees warmer than what a typical winter would see. This winter is sitting 9.4 degrees above average. That is almost 50% warmer than the second place year's departure. And when you consider that meteorological winter only has another 2.5 weeks to go, it's going to be really hard for any of those other years to catch up to this winter.
Well, we are now 25 days away from the time we spring ahead on March 10th, but some lawmakers in Oregon would like to see daylight saving time go away forever. The state's been trying to stop changing the clocks for 5 years now, but it needs Washington and California, as well as Congress, to agree for a bill to take effect. A renewed effort is now underway to keep most of the state on standard time. Most people who testified want to get rid of daylight saving time.
Permanent daylight time was tried before and it failed. People need morning light to wake up and feel good. And if you like daylight saving time, I would implore you just to wake yourself up earlier and let the rest of us sleep later for health.
We are much better off having 8 months of evening sun than having 0. So I beg you to do just like Washington did and defeat their permanent standard time bill.
As he mentioned, Washington State also took up a bill to eliminate daylight saving time, but it failed in committee. And check this out. Researchers looked at how climate change is affecting polar bears through their own eyes. They strapped cameras on 20 bears in the western Hudson Bay region of Canada. During the ice-free periods, the bears were forced to move inland to look for food. They found polar bears lost body mass while on land and resorted to eating berries and birds. The study was published in the journal Nature Communications. And now let's check to see the Valentine's Day weather in cities across the country today. We start in Providence, Rhode Island, which has 6 inches of snow on the ground today. Should be clear and cold. The high will be 33, but the wind chill will make it feel like it's in the teens. And next we head to Albany, New York. And much like Rhode Island, folks here can expect sunny skies, but it will be cold and windy. Highs will be around 32 degrees. And to the live music capital of the world, Austin, Texas. It'll be warm there. Temperatures expected to be in the mid-60s, rising into the 70s tomorrow. Our tour ends in Charleston, South Carolina. Sun returns to the coastal city today, and it will be dry. Highs should be in the low to mid-60s. We'll be right back.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a chilly air mass settling into the Northeast today. Temperatures are running in the 20s and 30s, but wind chills will stay in the teens. We'll get a stiff northwest wind. Look for a lot of sun. It's a little windy out there. Feels like midwinter once again. Thursday looks pretty good. Look for increasing clouds throughout the day. This little storm system right behind me, it's a little clipper system that moves in for Thursday night into Friday morning. That should bring some light accumulations of snow, and it moves out for Friday afternoon.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali with a look at your mid-Atlantic region. It looks like your Valentine's Day will be mostly sunny, certainly going to be chilly, but not seeing anything approaching that could bring us any precipitation or even clouds until later on. It's a Thursday night, so we're looking pretty dry, but temperatures will be chilly for Valentine's Day. Highs will only be around 40 degrees or so. We'll be a little warmer as we head into your Thursday. Highs may creep up into the upper 40s before they get knocked right back down again coming Friday.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. We have another very mild day for your Valentine's Day. Highs of 60 degrees for the most part, climbing into the 70s down in the Florida area. Good news is no clouds to worry about. It's going to be a sunny day for most of us, which will allow for a much warmer feeling day. We will see some clouds start to build overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning. Thick layer of clouds in central Florida. But besides that, most of us have a very nice forecast to finish off your work week.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Tuesday brought snow and blustery winds to the Northeast. This scene from Rhode Island's Sakonnet River. Heavy wet snow in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania was too much for some trees. And it looks like winter weather's the big Valentine for some pets in the Providence area. Lily, the Bernese Mountain Dog, literally chilling out. And Zazu, the rescue dog, having fun frolicking in the snow.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
We've been talking a lot about the nor'easter hitting the Northeast this morning, but did you know there are different types of nor'easters and they can actually impact different areas of the country? Meteorologist Violet Cybor explains the different nor'easter types and how they form.
There are two main types, and they're classified into two categories, Miller A and Miller B, named after the researcher Miller, who invented this classification system all the way back in the year 1946. So starting with the first type, Miller A, typically develops in the Gulf of Mexico or along the southeastern coast along an old front, so a stationary front, and it usually travels up the east coast. It intensifies rapidly as it moves up the coastline towards the New England area, and the mid-Atlantic and New England states usually are hit the hardest because of this, right over the northeastern United States. Icy conditions can occur as far south as Georgia and the Carolinas, that pink shading you can see on your screen there. And even severe weather is possible in the Florida area. So pretty impressive when we get this exact type of setup. Now let's look at the second type, Miller B. This is when we have a system that moves in from the Midwest, the middle of the country. And it originates as an area of low pressure moving eastward in between two areas of high pressure, one over the Great Lakes and one over the southeastern United States. And as it gradually moves east, it weakens as it hits the mountains. Keep in mind the Appalachian Mountains go right through here, and as it moves over, it's going to weaken, but then redevelop as a new area of low pressure on the other side of the Appalachians, right along the East Coast. Then it takes a turn. So the warmer Gulf Stream water helps it intensify and turn northward, heading up towards the New England coastline. And as it does, we'll see heavy snow for the New England and mid-Atlantic states, even some icy conditions right along the edge. Again, that pink shading there.
Well, this Valentine's Day, most of the country is dealing with relatively mild weather, but that hasn't always been the case. Meteorologist Amanda Verrier posted on TikTok about some of the most memorable Valentine's Day weather in history.
We're going to start with the year 2021, where most of the continental United States woke up to snow already on the ground for Valentine's Day. The exceptions were Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, and South Carolina. For those of you who lived in Texas, you may remember this as your entire state was under a winter storm warning. We move on to 2016, where the East saw their coldest temperatures, but the West saw one of the warmest. A cold blast in the East put many morning lows in the negatives on Valentine's Day, with wind chills less than negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit. At the same time, the West Coast was seeing record-breaking warmth, with the warmest temperature recorded in a National Weather Service office on Valentine's Day occurring in Thermal, California at 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we move on to 2007, where we had the Valentine's Day snowstorm. This spanned from the Midwest to New England. This dropped nearly 40 inches in New York and Pennsylvania, with nearly 2 feet of snow falling in Burlington, Vermont. This set the record for the most snow to ever fall on Valentine's Day at any U.S. station. Now we move into some severe weather. This happened in 1901. The most powerful tornado to occur on this day happened in Laurel, Mississippi as an EF3 around noontime. The track was 14.7 miles long. I think it's safe to say we're not going to be breaking any of these records this year. Have a happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
And if you are looking for more content like this or just looking for great weather videos, be sure to check us out on social media. We post a ton of content from our team of meteorologists across the country. Just search the National Weather Desk on your favorite social media platform. And of course, be sure to give us a follow. Warmer, less snowy winters can mean economic loss for winter sports and tourism industries. Emily Gracie sat down with an expert to learn what the trend has been like in recent years, where it's headed, and how this can be a dangerous time for winter athletes.
Winter is our fastest warming season at over 75%, or nearly 75% of climate stations that have been monitoring weather over long term since the 1970s. And that's concerning. New England in particular and the upper Midwest are winter warming hotspots. We are warming at a much faster rate than the rest of the country. And I'll be clear, nowhere in the United States is winter getting any colder. It is warming universally across the board. And the impacts on winter sports tend to be that, if you're a ski resort, you're going to have fewer days that you're attracting skiers to the slopes. You might also have fewer days of opportunity to make snow using machine-made snow.
There's like the tourism side of things, and then there's like the competitive sports side of things. So how is that side impacted?
Yeah, so I've been working with an organization that was founded by a professional snowboarder. Protect Our Winters was founded by Jeremy Jones back in 2007. And as a professional snowboarder, he had noticed the changes in the places where he was training. And I think that's important. I mean, this is a competitive sport. It brings in a lot of economic activity for the cities that host the Olympics, the Winter Olympics in particular. And looking forward into the future, again, if we didn't act on climate change, about half of the venues that have hosted the Olympics in the past would be able to continue to host that in the future.
Are there other impacts of climate change that are affecting winter sports too that are a little less obvious, like sea level rise or wildfires or extreme weather events?
The extreme weather events piece was something that really came into play in December of 2023, especially in New England. We had a rain on snow on frozen ground event, 4 to 6 inches in the mountains over a 24-hour period. And when you have that much warm rain, especially, I mean, this was an unseasonably warm event coming into the region. It's the impact also on infrastructure. So the washout of roads and parking lots and culverts. And that goes beyond just like, being able to ski or not. It's also that you can't open the resorts. It also means that people's homes are being washed away.
And to see Dr. Burkowski discuss when we could reach the tipping point where artificial snow is no longer an option at ski resorts, head over to our YouTube channel where we have posted a longer version of that interview. Very interesting. Warm weather isn't just affecting winter sports. In some parts of the country, unseasonable temperatures are confusing plants. Darren Zahn explains.
Warm weather in some parts of the country have caused bulbs to come up a bit early. Here's some daffodils here in the Northwest. And when you see these come up so early in the year while winter is still in full swing, it might cause some concern. Well, there's some good news and bad news. Well, the bad news first. If hard freezes do return, these flowers here could freeze and die off. But the good news, even if they do die off, next year you should get blooms again.
And as we head to break, a look at the snow that fell across Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Got another little disturbance kicking in across the northern plains here, giving some snow across the Dakotas into Minnesota. Now, as we continue on into the next couple of days, that continues heading towards the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley. But we got another one kicking its way back in from the west by Thursday night, and that continues to kind of drift its way in by Friday. So we got a few rounds of some light rain, snow showers on the way.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. What a difference all the way from Amarillo in Oklahoma down to Brownsville at 62. We're looking 30s and 40s to the north. A little southerly wind bringing in a little bit more in the way of cloud cover out across the area. That will make for a slightly cooler day, but it will still feel a lot like spring. We'll be watching another system approaching from the west. That could change things up by the weekend. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there and good Wednesday morning. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we're talking about some chilly or maybe some comfort food. Good cozy weather in store from Missoula and parts of western Montana all the way into the Pacific Northwest. Meanwhile, San Francisco, City by the Bay, if you've left your heart there, 57 degrees near the Golden Gate Bridge. Next weather maker, this big storm curling into Oregon and Washington later tonight. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
The snow that fell in the Northeast yesterday has been described as a very wet snow. Wet snow can make things a little bit harder, like when it comes to shoveling, and can also make it easier for trees and power lines to come down. Meteorologist Lindsay Storrs explains why.
Snow can weigh a lot, especially when you get 1 to 2 feet of it. So I wanted to show you just how much that snow can weigh. If you've got a foot of snow on a 1,500 square foot roof, let's say it's really light, fluffy snow, even that fluffy snow with a water to snow ratio of 15 to 1, is about the weight of a big truck. Now, if you've got a normal snow with a ratio of 10 inches of snow to 1 inch of water, that's the equivalent of a truck and a passenger car being on top of your roof. And if you've got a foot of that heavy, wet snow on your roof, that's the equivalent to having 3 big trucks up on top of your roof. So you can see why snow can be so dangerous when you get a lot of it.
And a reminder that if you are looking for more great weather content, be sure to check out our podcast, Off the Radar. You can find that podcast anywhere where you can get podcasts. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Amira David. Make it a great Wednesday, and we will see you right back here tomorrow.